everyone. Welcome to Pepsi SWAC Game Day. What a week 4 we had. Getting ready for week 5. Man, we had history at Jackson State. We had linebackers hurtling their way into touchdowns, diving interceptions, slobber knockers, and walk-off field goals. We'll get into all of that, and we'd love to know your favorite moment from week 4. Drop your comments below, and we'll take a good look at what you loved the most. Hey, a big thank you to you guys out there for watching once again, and a big thank you to our sponsors. Pepsi, official partner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. GM, proud sponsor of the SWAC. Home Depot, proud sponsor of the SWAC. Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods and outdoor retailer of the SWAC, and Nike. Charles Bishop will join us in a minute, but first, let's relive all of that action from week 4, kicking off with a Thursday night affair from Alabama A&M. Here we go, football on a Thursday. Alabama A&M hosting UAPB. Who let the dogs out? Well, looks like Connell Maynard did. Golden Lions score first. Mekhi Hagans finding Kevin English. Quincy Casey with the start for A&M, connecting with Terrell Gardner. That makes it a 10-7 game. Late second quarter, Tristan Ballard on the score. That's Jalen Macon slinging the ball. Start of the fourth. Barry White. He's got pipes. He's got speed. 29-yard score. But UAPB will not go away. They tie the score at 24 apiece. Michael Jamerson on an 80-yard score. That's Macon with the pass. We are tied at 24. It's a good one. But Barry White sings the farewell song for UAPB. Casey to White, good night. Alabama A&M wins it 31-24. Prairie View A&M hosting Alcorn State. Aaron Allen gets the start. He finds Tavarius Griffin on the 19-yard pass here. The Braves up 7-0. On the other side is Trayzon Conley. He escapes the tackle and scrambles for the touchdown. The theme of the night here, field goals. As time expires, Noah Kiani ends the first half by putting Alcorn State up 10-7. Late third quarter, Conley finds Trajani Spiller. Prairie View, its first lead of the game, 14-13 midway through the fourth. Alcorn responds. Aaron Allen to Malik Rogers. Watch the moves. That's 49 yards for the score, tied at 20. But remember today's theme. Field goals as time expires. Guillermo Garcia Rodriguez. He does it. It's good. Prairie View wins it 23-20. FAMU hosting Alabama State. SWAC football. Jeremy Musa showing why he's the top quarterback in the conference. Finds Marcus Riley for a 24-yard score, 7-0 Rattlers. John Jaden, 3 the hard way for Alabama State. It's a 7-3 ball game. FAMU answers field goals with touchdowns. Musa to Jamari Cassette, 36-yard score, 14-3 at the break. Third quarter, watch how this goes down. Damon Stewart to Asa Gregg. By hook or crook, he caught it, and he's gone. 47 yards for the touchdown, 14-10 ball game. Fourth quarter, Alabama State trailing by a touchdown. They're driving, and Isaiah Major. A major pain to the Bama State offense. The interception hurdles the defender. What a way to win it at home. FAMU 23, Alabama State 10. The Rattlers win in Tallahassee.
We got to get a W to make it a real rivalry so everybody can feel it. So look forward to playing FAMU next year. But, hey, we had our shot and we missed, so now we got to win the rest of the games.
Yeah, we knew the magnitude of the game. We knew what was at stake. We really wanted to make sure we came out and played well because obviously we talked about controlling our own destiny, and winning tonight allows us to continue to do that.
Texas Southern and Grambling, that's Floyd Chalk for a 1-yard run. Grambling up 7-0. You bring the woodpecker, I'll bring the wood. Texas Southern's Jacob Williams with the ball-jarring hit. Watch Jace Wilson air it out. He finds A.J. Bennett in stride, a 41-yard score, tied at 7. Grambling's future is bright. An 8-play, 90-yard drive ends with Miles Crawley finding Lyndon Rash. Third quarter, blow for blow. Chance Williams with the touchdown run for Grambling. Wilson airs it out again, this time to Ian Means. 21-17, Grambling heading into the fourth quarter. Here we go, Lyndon Rash, another score, 28-17, Grambling. Jace Wilson, his third passing touchdown of the day, but Grambling with the final word. Floyd Chalk scores, Grambling wins it 35-23. SWAC football, Bethune-Cookman at Jackson State. The Wildcats pinned deep in their own territory, and Isaac Peppers comes up with a dynamic safety. JSU up 2-0. Bethune-Cookman has an answer, however. Second quarter, Jovinsley Bazile, a 4-yard touchdown run. It's a 6-2 game, BCU. Just before the half, Dominique Ponder back to pass. Kevrick Wiggins Jr. with the diving interception and a little celebration. Catches a flag for just saying hello to mom. Turnovers continue in the third quarter. It's a fumble, and the hot potato finds Ethan Smith, who shows he has size and speed. Jackson State up 14-9. If that was speed, then folks, this is lightning. Irv Mulligan explodes out of the backfield for a 66-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. Jackson State goes on to win its home opener 22-16 over Bethune-Cookman. Circle City Classic in Indianapolis. It was a tall order for Mississippi Valley State taking on the defending Black College National Champions, North Carolina Central. The Eagles raced out the 3 straight touchdowns in the game before a Valley field goal, and the Eagles continued to fly high in the second half. They win it 45-3. All right, let's bring it back home now. A final look at the Week 4 scores. The scoreboard brought to you by Pepsi, official partner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Alabama A&M squeezes by UAPB. Mississippi Valley State has a tough time against North Carolina Central. Grambling wins the shootout with Texas Southern. The FAMU defense holds serve against Alabama State. Jackson State handles business in the home opener versus Bethune-Cookman. And Prairie View A&M with the walk-off against Alcorn State. It was a big win for Jackson State University and also a historical weekend. Leilana Armenta became the first woman in Tigers football history to play in a game and possibly the first woman to kick in Division I HBCU history. So let's bring in Charles Bishop now. Chuck, you were on hand over the weekend in Jackson. It was a pretty big weekend on that front historically. Plus, TC Taylor gets his first win in the vet with the win over Bethune-Cookman. What was the weekend like there in Jackson, Chuck?
Yeah, huge weekend. You talk about a home opener in Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson State football so ingrained into the community there in Jackson. And I tell you what, 23,000 red-clad fans, they were enjoying themselves from Jackson State football.
All right, a historical moment, Chuck. It kind of snuck up on us, at least from the media perspective. We didn't realize it was happening until it had already happened. Chuck, right place, right time for you, seeing a bit of history.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of history, and I had to do a double take. I was down on the field during warm-ups, and I happened to notice this young lady kicking, and I turned around and asked, I said, is this a first? And they confirmed it is a first for Jackson State football history. When you think about the history of Jackson State football, to be on hand for that was something special for me.
All right, cool stuff there. All right, Chuck, now we hyped FAMU versus Alabama State. It turned out to be worth the ticket. FAMU seals the deal with a late pick-6 interception. We saw that in the highlights. Hey, this is becoming quite the rivalry here, Alabama State and Florida A&M.
You take a look at the rivalry of this. It goes back to those old SIAC days. But FAMU's defense, the Dark Cloud defense, they showed up despite being put in some difficult situations. FAMU turned the ball over twice. FAMU's defense bent but did not break, and then Isaiah made a huge interception at the end of the game to seal that one for the FAMU Rattlers, and they protect that home field winning streak. Huge for FAMU in that game.
Well, look, we have all of October to go. Anything could happen, but if we're going to call September the clubhouse, at least in the Eastern Division, maybe the overall conference, FAMU, your clubhouse leaders right now, Chuck.
They are the clubhouse leader, and you can, I don't know, in some manner kind of start fitting them for that green jacket, if you will, because they have taken on two of the tougher teams that we were looking at in the SWAC, in Jackson State and Alabama State, and they have come out victorious 2-0 thus far in SWAC East.
All right, maybe the Tolly and Chuck jinx will not apply there. We won't praise them too much because you know how those jinx work. We're really in control here. The media's in control. You didn't know that? You didn't know that?
It always. Exactly.
All right. Charles, we can't overlook this one. Prairie View, Alcorn State. It was like wrestling, man. It was last man standing, loser leave town match. That was quite if that would have been a national TV game, man, that was a walk-off field goal. Just a real battle back and forth there.
Real battle back and forth. And when you talk about Prairie View and Alcorn, two teams that really look like each other, they really love to run the football. But it was Prairie View's defense that came up huge. Alcorn, the week prior, they had ran for over 200 yards against McNeese State. Prairie View holds them to under 100 yards. It proved to be one of the differences in the game when you take a look at what Prairie View's defense had to get done. And I tell you what, Prairie View, Trayvon Conley got it done on the offensive side of the ball. Trayvon Conley, 12 of 17 in that game, threw efficiently, if you will, and had huge touchdowns in that game against Alcorn. But I tell you what, you can't say enough about that Prairie View defense in terms of stopping Jarvie Howard.
Chuck, you talk about two teams that look alike. I mean, literally, I watched the game online, and at one point, I had to blow that magnification on YouTube up to about 200%. We got a lot of purple out there. I was like, that is Prairie. Okay, all right, there we go.
Yeah,
they used to be.
A lot of purple and gold out there on the field. A certain fraternity probably was enjoying that game more than anybody.
They got to do something for these old eyes out here watching, man. That one was tough.
Same here.
All right, Chuck, we're losing the younger demographic by the minute here. All right, hold tight, Charles. We want to get your thoughts on this weekend's matchups, but first we're going to set the table for everyone what we have coming up this weekend. The Week 5 schedule brought to you by Pepsi, official partner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. It's an all-Saturday SWAC plate this weekend. Texas Southern taking on Lincoln of California. I know there's a lot of Lincolns out there, folks. Lincoln of California is this week's opponent for Texas Southern. Alabama A&M is welcoming Tuskegee. Another one of those deep-rooted Alabama, I don't like you, you don't like me matchups. Let me show you something. That's going to be at Alabama A&M this weekend. Southern coming off a bye week at UAPB. Don't sleep. That's a good matchup there. Alcorn State visits Alabama State. And the classic of the weekend, let's go to Dallas for the State Fair Classic, Grambling and Prairie View A&M. And we'll end the weekend. We got FAMU and Mississippi Valley State. All right, Chuck, you're going to be there. I don't know if you'll see history 2 weekends in a row, but I'm pretty sure you will see a good game because we have two teams that are playing pretty well heading into this one. It's an annual affair, Grambling and Prairie View in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge game in Dallas. You're battling for recruiter supremacy up there in the Dallas area. A lot of tremendous football players up there in the Dallas area. Prairie View and Grambling, they both flank either side of Dallas, so this will be a huge game. And when you take a look at it, Grambling's offense, Miles Crawley has really solidified that quarterback position over the past 2 weeks. He's thrown for over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. But it is the Grambling running game that is really huge. When you talk about Floyd Chalk and Chance Williams, huge games this past week. Chance Williams went for 174 yards. Floyd Chalk chipped in 88 against Texas Southern. So Prairie View's defense once again has another stout running backfield that they're going to have to be able to stop to get the W in this one.
And Chuck, we always talk about the SWAC season. You know, you really got to break it up because if you look at the first couple of weeks, you know, Grambling fans and Prairie View fans might have been like, oh, boy, what am I looking at out here? But you get that out-of-conference play out of the way, and right now, these are two of the better teams right now.
Two of the better teams, and you say hope springs eternal the following week once you get into the conference play. And Prairie View and Grambling, they've gotten it done. They've started off fast. This is going to be a huge game when you really take a look at it. Superstars all over the place on the offense and defensive side of the ball. But I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a lot of fun when you talk about two teams that really love to run the ball. Who can get the big play over the top in this one? And I tell you what, it's going to be at least 55,000 fans in Dallas, the Cotton Bowl this weekend. All
right, Chuck, this is what people really want to know. The eats at the State Fair Classic. I know you're going to partake, Chuck. What is your go-to? What is your go-to vendor, your go-to meal? Like, what's your guilty pleasure there at the State Fair Classic?
Yeah, I have a guilty pleasure for chicken on a stick at the State Fair Classic. It is way too much food up there. You can't stop at just one, whether it's corn dogs, chicken on a stick. Hey, I got to watch my diet this weekend, Tolly. It's way too much. It's overload. It's sensory overload.
You sound just like a caveman. That's exactly what I expected to hear. I thought you might have gone fried Oreo or something like that, but chicken on a stick, we can live with that.
We can live with that. But it's a lot of great food, man. I try to stay away from some of it, but some of it is just too good to not stay away from.
It just be calling you, man. You know, to quote
Oh.
the great American philosopher Pookie, it just be calling me, man. Chicken on a stick.
Exactly. It just be calling me.
All right, let's get back to football here. We talked about our eyes, chicken on a stick. All right, we got Tuskegee versus Alabama A&M. SWAC fans may not, the casual SWAC fan, is if there is such a thing, may not be ultra familiar with Tuskegee from week to week. But Chuck, let's look at it this way. The transfer portal has beefed up a lot of Division II schools. They've also benefited because a lot of these high school kids are getting shut out at the D1 level because so many kids are in the transfer portal that they're getting looks at Division II schools. So I don't think you can any longer just count out a Division II team that's on your schedule if you're in the SWAC.
No doubt about it. And we've already seen that Division II team, that SIAC team, Miles. They knocked off Alabama State earlier this season. But when you talk about Tuskegee, they come into this game 4-0. They come in with that SIAC chip on their shoulder whenever they play the Division I SWAC. It should be a great game because I tell you what, Alabama A&M, they might have found something with Quincy Casey. He threw for 300 yards this past Thursday.
That they say when you have two quarterbacks, you have none, but Alabama A&M might be rewriting that narrative there. They got two really good ones, and last week it was Quincy Casey getting the job done. All right, last note on the State Fair Classic before we let you get out of here. What is the one thing that you'll look at the box score at the end of the game, and whichever team wins this particular stat or this particular battle, do you think will come out on top?
Time of possession is one thing that I will be looking at in this game. Both teams, like I said, they have stout running games. Who can keep their defense fresh, especially in the fourth quarter? That's going to be huge. And when we talk about this Grambling football team, they are putting up some points, almost 500 yards of total offense last week against Texas Southern. This Prairie View defense is going to have their hands full. Can Prairie View's offense stay on the field and keep them fresh in the fourth quarter to make some plays?
All right, bonus question time for Chuck before we let you go. This is it for real, Chuck. All right, we got Alabama State. We have Alcorn State. It is still September. I mean, October is like next week. But our teams, our fans starting to feel that little hint of desperation, like we cannot lose another SWAC conference game. We got to get a dub here.
Yeah, and I think this is a huge weekend, especially if you're talking about Alabama State. We mentioned they have a loss on the ledger from Miles, that lost last week to FAMU. This is a huge weekend for Alabama State football. Question is, can they find some offense? Can they find some offense to really offset one of the more stout defenses in HBCU football? So that is a huge game for the Alabama State Hornets.
All right, we'll see if Alabama State can find some offense. We know Chuck will find the chicken on the stick at the State Fair Classic. Please send us some pictures so next week, Chuck, we can live vicariously through your palate and see how it all went down on the concourse at the State Fair Classic. Do we got a deal?
We got a deal. Pictures are coming.
All right, Chuck. As always, appreciate your insight. Appreciate your menu. Let's take a look at the standings now for some additional context here. Brought to you by GM, proud sponsor of the SWAC Out East. FAMU is rolling, followed by Jackson State, making up some ground there. You got Alabama A&M and Alabama State. Bethune-Cookman playing good. They're getting closer and closer. They're 1-3 overall, 0-1 in the SWAC. Mississippi Valley State still looking for their first win. Out west, you got Prairie View A&M, Grambling State. Oh, that sets up a good State Fair Classic, followed by Southern, Alcorn State, UAPB, and Texas Southern. All right, now let's hear from the coaches this weekend. A little out-of-conference action, just a little bit, but a lot of SWAC action going down, including that State Fair Classic.
Quincy had a great football game Saturday. I think he was 27 for 33, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns. So he'd probably be Offensive Player of the Week. And when you play a game like that, you got to start the next game. And so he'll be the starter this week. And if he play like that again, he could be the starter the week after that. So we just play game by game. And I think we're in a good situation with our quarterbacks that if Quincy continues to play this way, Xavier can come in if he had to, and we'd be in a good position.
But we know with Coach McNair brings to the table, they're going to be a physical, running the ball football team, so that's what we're expecting. It's going to be a tough game, and their backs against the wall, so is ours. We're both coming off a loss, both coming off a conference loss.
So we realized with one loss in the conference, nobody wants to go down 0-2 starting off the season. So it's going to be two desperate teams that both need a win really bad. And nothing cures how you're feeling after a loss than getting a W. So we know it's going to be a tough SWAC matchup, and we're going to go down to the end of the game.
We got to really focus on ourselves and how we can get better as far as the team wise. By far, this was probably the worst game I've been a part of, all three phases of it, since I've been coaching. So we didn't play very great on neither phase of the game. So we lost in the trenches real big. So we just got to get back to focus on what we can do to get these guys better, get these guys energized to go in Montgomery and try to win a ball game. So it's going to be very challenging for us to do that.
But we did some good things. You know, I'm proud of the guys. You know, they're fighting. You know, they're playing for one another. We just got to keep improving. You know, we had a situation where, you know, we had 3 turnovers, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough. One on special teams, and then it's really tough to rebound from that. But with that being said, we still had an opportunity, you know, to win the ball game.
And defensively played another tremendous game. I thought those guys were amazing. Gave up a few plays in the passing game, but you know, held the team to 14 yards rushing. I mean, that's you can get that every week. You know, you'll take it. So just overall, happy with the win. You know, obviously not satisfied, but you know, did enough to win to keep ourselves at the top of the East standings, and got another very, very tough week this week going up to Itabena. It's one of the toughest places to play in the conference. So we definitely got to be mentally prepared to go in and have another dog fight. But blessing to be where we are, and get ready for another great week.
Yeah, now that's a huge one for us. Obviously, a former high school coach in Dallas myself, I'm very familiar with the Classic. We have a bunch of talented guys on our roster from the Dallas area that are excited about the Classic. We know that's a big one, not only for us as a team, but for our fan base, for our recruits, for the Grambling brand, to display who we are. Obviously, it didn't go well for us last year in the way that we played. So we have an opportunity to go back and redeem ourselves and show who we are and the improvements that we've made and the strides that we made. So we're excited about this opportunity, excited about this week.
Have an opportunity to put ourselves in a position, you know, that we haven't been in before. And, you know, and this is what I keep relaying to the guys all week long. Again, once we're in a position like this, we got to take full advantage of it, you know, and these guys are going to be ready to go, as well as Grambling. But again, it's going to come down to, again, as I always said, and I keep reiterating, those guys that go out and play 4 quarters of football and performs the best is going to win this game.
They got a great defensive line. Linebackers are good. The secondary, Coach Miller's a secondary guy by nature. So they're going to bring pressure. Everybody's been pressuring. So this is kind of what you get in the SWAC. You're going to get pressure, and they got some guys that can get to the quarterback. And so we know what we are facing. And obviously for us, it's good for our young men to be able to play a program like Southern. I mean, they got the best of the best. They got everything they need. So our guys are excited about to play them here at home, and we get our fans. They're going to have a great fan base. We need to make sure we have more fans in the stands than they got.
They're going to run the football. There's no question about it. Their top running back wasn't down. He still was able to establish and run the football. I thought they had a quarterback that played extremely well. Thought he did some great things, making great decisions, moving the pocket, and able to scramble and keep his eyes downfield and make plays. So I look for a very, very well-coached football team, knowing the head coach, knowing what type of individual he is. So I don't expect anything but a hard-fought contest. And that's what the Southwestern Athletic Conference has become. You're talking about football team. There's no such thing as a doormat in this conference. It's anybody's game right now.
FAMU is rolling into town, our first SWAC game, our first home game. They tough. They long, athletic, physical, and they well coached. So we're definitely looking forward to that game this weekend.
What can you tell us about Andrew Body and what's going on with him right now, Coach?
Without giving out any medical information, we're going to allow Andrew to put out a statement, basically from a HIPAA law deal. He'll put out a statement about what he wants to inform the world about his situation, and we're going to allow him to handle that
via social media.
A quick follow-up, you played the game, coached a long time. Have you ever experienced an injury bug like this at a specific position?
No, I mean, I've been in it a long time. This is the first time I've ever seen anything with this kicking situation, what we got going on here. Like Matt Noel did a pretty good job for us last week. I punted, handling the kicking duties against Texas State as well as punting. But to go out there last week and tweak, his leg a little bit, I've never seen nothing like it. But I tell you what, it's making me looking at the recruiting aspect of it a little bit different.
Sure thing. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, our SWAC players of the week now. On offense, we talked about him earlier. Quincy Casey completed 81% of his passes, threw for 328 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns in the Bulldogs' 31-24 win over UAPB. He's the offensive player of the week in the SWAC. On defense, Zarion Hayes, Alabama A&M as well, finished with a team-high 12 tackles and a game-high 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, a quarterback hurry, and a forced fumble. Man, he just ran the gauntlet on defense. His efforts helped seal that victory for Alabama A&M. Specialist of the week, his season debut, Guillermo Rodriguez was called upon to convert a field goal attempt from 46 yards out to win the game. He connected at the final horn for a win over Alcorn State. Irv Mulligan, your newcomer of the week, but man, we hear his name every week. He feels like he's been here for a while. 21 times he rushed the ball, 174 yards, 1 touchdown on Saturday. In the home opener for Jackson State, they win against Bethune-Cookman. He had a 66-yard touchdown that proved to be the difference in the fourth quarter as JSU wins it over the Wildcats 22-16. Well, that's all for now. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Another edition of Pepsi SWAC Game Day from Atlanta. I'm Tolly Carr. Thanks again to Charles Bishop for joining us from Houston. You guys enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.